and behind the elevators are the bathrooms. Please turn off your cell phones now. You know, we don't want to interrupt the event with cell phones ringing. So please turn off your cell phones. We're going to have all my students to get extra credit can sign in over here. And let me just tell you folks before we start that we're going to have questions at the end of the event. The last 25 minutes will be for questions. We are going to have paper and pencil. You can write your questions and hand them. Where should they hand them?
Hand them to our volunteers in the aisle. So if we're wearing Papa shirts, you can hand it to us.
Okay.
And we'll get it to Noelle.
Hand it to the people with the Papa shirts.
Maybe not everybody, because I know the first 20 got a shirt, but use your judgment if we're looking for the cards, and we should be good. So.
Okay. Aloha. Aloha. And welcome to the 2016 Food Justice Summit, the theme of which is nothing less than challenging global impacts of the agrochemical industry. My name is Noelle Rodriguez. I'm a sociologist. I teach sociology at the community college here. And I just want to make a few comments before we start, and that is, we sociologists tend to look at the bigger picture. And one of the things that I've been watching for the last 35, maybe even 40 years, is the growth of huge corporations, transnational, multinational, global-reaching corporations. And these corporations have gotten fewer and bigger and very, very powerful. They have a worldwide reach, and they are the challenge that we are facing. These corporations are overwhelmingly powerful, and they are absolutely, shockingly ruthless. Shockingly ruthless. And the reason they are, many people believe that it's because of greedy individuals, and that is not true. It's not that people are just greedy. It's that the law in the United States and globally is that the one thing that corporations must do, and for which they can be sued if they don't do, is to increase what's called shareholder value. And another word for shareholder value is profit. The one thing they must do, and for which they can be sued if they don't do, is to increase profits. We have created this machine, and it is a very, very dangerous machine. It has taken control of our lives on many, many levels. It's controlling our local economies. Guys, it's taken over our media. And in many levels, on unbelievably subtle and very strong ways, it's taken over our government. It's undermining democracy, if it's not already totally undermined. And I just want to say that the obligation to shareholders has grown increasingly dangerous for the life of our planets. The things that you're going to hear about today in this talk is not just something to think about, to go home and think about, to just know about for conversations, guys. The things you're going to hear about tonight are the fight of our lives, and may be the fight for our lives. This is the fight of our lives, the fight for democracy, the fight for the environment, and the fight for control over these huge processes. And the organizations who are putting this together, Pesticide Action Network, HAPA, Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Activists, and I will mention some of the other groups that are supported later on in the program. But these organizations are our hope. And there are some people who are our heroes. And I heard once that Roxanne told Gary Hooser it's time to hero up. And I love the phrase because I was already going to say this, that there are people in this room who are heroes, and they're heroes in this fight. And many of you are part of those, you know, just by being here, you're part of the heroic effort to challenge this issue. But I want to introduce Gary Hooser. I didn't even remember this, but some of you who've lived on the Big Island remember that a few years ago we had a victory. And the victory was that we got clean elections passed in the county of Hawaii, and we were able to, for 2 election cycles, show that publicly funded elections work, and they work well. Until Citizens United, the United States Supreme Court, destroyed our hope for cleaner elections.
Gary heroed up. That's one of the reasons.
That's what I was going to say. What happened was we passed it at the county level, and then somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and I thought, we had done the work. But they said, no, you have to pass it at the state level. And thank God we had Gary there. And I told him, I handed him that, and he took over and helped us get it through. And despite the fight, the next year where 5 of our 7 representatives tried to kill clean elections, but we were able to overcome that. So anyhow, Gary Hooser, the president of the HAPA board of directors, and so much environmental hero. Please give him a hand.
Thank you, Noelle, very much for your kind remarks. Noelle gave a lot of what I was going to say, and my remarks are going to be very short. I appreciate, number one, everybody being here. I'm thrilled at the turnout tonight, and this is important. And Noelle was very generous with her words, and for me, but there are so many people in this room, and you're going to hear from 4 or 5 heroes from all around the world who are going to speak tonight. And I see, people I know here who work really hard on lots of issues. And that's really what it's about. It's about everybody stepping up and doing their part. I'll back up a little bit. Noelle talked about the corporations and the damage that they're doing to our planet. And I would say she was being kind in her words. I've seen this stuff up close and personal on Kauai. Syngenta, DuPont Pioneer, Agrochemical, BASF, and Monsanto indirectly are suing the county of Kauai for the right to spray poisons next to schools and not tell us about it. And I'm not exaggerating one little bit. We passed a bill on Kauai, Bill 2491, after a year of work fighting these corporations. People like yourself sleeping outside the county building for the right to testify. We beat them over and over again. We beat the mayor's veto. We beat the governor who was lobbying on their behalf. We passed a law that all it did was require them to disclose their pesticide and GMO use and put buffer zones around schools, hospitals, and houses, and they took us to court. That's the kind of people we're dealing with. And then some of these speakers, we talk about life-threatening. Some of these speakers have to literally be concerned about that in their countries. I get asked frequently, do I worry about my personal safety? And this is a very real issue, more so in some other countries. I think we're thankful here to have a little bit more security. But it's very real. These are corporate thugs, in my opinion. I've worked with them. I've tried to be the bigger man. I've asked them, tried to work with them. And over again, they have lied and misled me personally as a council member. I'm not here speaking tonight as a council member, but I do serve on the Kauai County Council. So we worked really hard. We passed this bill. They sued us. We lost the first round. We're in court. Shortly thereafter, your county council, and my hat's off to your county council, passed a different kind of bill. Yes. And your mayor signed it. And they sued you. And then shortly thereafter, Maui County, and you might hear more about this later, Maui County, citizens of Maui County went door to door throughout their county, gathered thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of signatures, put it on the ballot that Monsanto and GMO companies have to prove their safety or else they can't exist. Prove their safety. Sounds like a reasonable request to me. They put it on the ballot. Monsanto spent more money than any election in Hawaii's history. $8 to $10 million, depending on how you count, more money than any election in Hawaii's history per vote. And they lost. Let's give it up for Maui County. And, it's frustrating. We're fighting this battle in so many areas at the county governments. We're trying to fight at the state level. I'm really impressed when elected officials come to these kinds of things and stand up for us wherever, whether you're serving at the county or state level. I'd like to recognize Senator Russell Ruderman, who's here today. He's a hero. Senator Ruderman has stood up over and over again on behalf of these issues in the state legislature, and I honor that and really appreciate the work that you do. Thank you very much for that. I'm not sure if there's any other ones here that have done, council members, but if they show up, I want to recognize them too. So we're fighting a good fight. We're fighting it in court. We're fighting it at county and state government. We're holding signs. We're marching. And we have to keep doing these kinds of things. And before I forget, my wife always tells me, don't forget to ask for help, Gary. So I'm going to ask you now in case I forget later. We need your help. The message today, one of the messages, we're all in this together. Any one of us can't do it alone. We need your help. I've seen it in all three counties. Things happen when people pull together in unity. So if you could, please, if you haven't already, go to the hapahai.org, hi.org, and just sign up for our newsletters. Get on our mailing list. Volunteer if you can. And when we see opportunities to help, we will let you know. And if you want to join in, that would be great. At the minimum, please do that. The Pesticide Action Network, we have Paul Towers here today. Paul, why don't you raise your hand? Paul, I'm sure they would like to help too. They were incredible help to us when we were passing our bill, and they have a global network. We're going to hear more about that later. They're co-sponsors of tonight's event. So about a year ago, I got an email actually, from a gentleman from Basel, Switzerland. And he said, on the email, he said, I heard about you and what's going on in Hawaii on the radio in Switzerland. And come to find out that Swiss press had been covering us, and they invited me and a delegation from Hawaii to go to Switzerland. This is an organization called MultiWatch, and a representative of our organization is going to speak after myself. And they said, we're having a conference in Basel, Switzerland, and we'd like you to come and share your thoughts with us. And then I started thinking, what's so special about Basel, Switzerland? Well, it's a home of Syngenta. It's a global headquarters of Syngenta, who's one of the largest pesticide makers, chemical companies on the planet. And I said, sure, we'll go to the conference, we'll share it. And then they said, oh, by the way, Syngenta's having their annual shareholders meeting that week. Would you like to speak at their annual shareholders meeting? And to make a long story short, I said, can you do that? How do you get me, Gary Hooser, inside? And they told me we own one share of Syngenta stock, and we'll transfer it into your name. And so they did. I spoke, there's video and other material on the HOPA website about that event. And I spoke to the shareholders, similar that I'm speaking to you today. But in Switzerland, atrazine, which they manufacture, Syngenta manufactures atrazine. And it's against the law to use atrazine in Switzerland, their home country. They also make and sell paraquat, banned in 36 countries. But it's against the law to use paraquat in their country. And GMOs are not allowed in their country. But yet they're heavily involved in this industry, and that's their home port. And MultiWatch, this organization that invited me to come, is a Swiss organization that is fighting this major employer in their own country. And so I went, we spoke, but that experience taught me a few things. It taught me there are people around the world that want to help us here in Hawaii. There are people around the world who may not be impacted. They may not be using these things in their country, but they realize what they're doing to other places. They want to help us. So number one, there's people out there that want to help us. And number two, this is a global issue, a global matter. There's a lot of backyards. It's not just Hawaii. It's not just Hawaii County or Maui. There are countries all over the world that are being treated much harsher than we are. And so we came back from that Switzerland trip and decided, you know, the HOPA group and all of us, and said we need to work more on a global nature. We need to connect more with the people around the world to share our stories and to learn from each other and to help each other as we move forward. And so we decided to do what we're here tonight. Tonight's the first night, and so we brought 4 speakers over. You're going to hear I think 5 speakers. And you're going to hear different perspectives from all over the world. And these are women and men who are leaders in their countries, in their islands, in their communities, who are doing the same thing that we're doing. And I encourage you to listen to what they have to say and to think about how you can help, how you can get involved, and how you can join, because we're all in this together. This is about solidarity. This is about recognizing each other's values and homes and kuleana for all of us. So I want to thank you all for coming, and I'm going to sit down right now and listen myself, because I haven't heard these speeches. But before I do that, I want to introduce Eva Schoen. Eva, why don't you come up here, please? Eva is a young attorney. She graduated from law school relatively recently and was, I do this again with one hand?
Yeah.
So without exaggeration, we would not be here tonight without Eva and the group from MultiWatch, Basel, Switzerland. And on top of all they did, inviting us there, allowing us to speak, hosting us, it was a wonderful experience sharing our stories with the people of Switzerland. But we left, the Kauai delegation left, and MultiWatch sponsored the first ever march against Syngenta and Monsanto through the streets of Basel. Thousands of people marching, and they carried our banner. Okay, we weren't even there. They carried our banner in their march and met with their parliament and their government saying, what's up with treating Hawaii the way you're treating Hawaii?
Aloha, everybody. My name is Eva Sherman. I'm part of the Swiss crowdwatching organization called MultiWatch, as you have heard already. And so it's my first time. I'm in Hawaii, and it's been amazing seeing the beautiful islands you have here. And what is depressing to me is what the agrochemical industry is doing to your islands. Seeing these huge testing fields, not only right beside the probably most beautiful scenery, but also just beside schools and hospitals, makes me feel sad. And so at the same time, it encourages me
to do my activism, and it makes me want to kick out those corporations right away. So Multiwatch observes multinational corporations headquartered in Switzerland regarding human rights violations, particularly in the third world, but not exclusively, as the Hawaiian case confirms. So far, Multiwatch has done campaigns on Nestle, Glencore, and Holcim, corporations you might have already heard of. And our main subject is to help people affected by those corporations and to bring their struggle to the level of peace. Here you see the building of Syngenta in Basel. Not all of it, but a piece of it. So important for our work is that we don't see the affected ones as victims without a voice. We just want to bring their voices to Switzerland, we want their voices to be heard at the roots of the problem. So Multiwatch has been working on Syngenta for 2 years now, and there's something you need to know about Syngenta, Switzerland and Basel, the headquarters of Syngenta, because Syngenta is not very well known there, mainly because we are not the affected ones. So we just profit out of them. They create jobs in Switzerland, they pay their taxes in Switzerland. And as Gary already said, most of the pesticides are not allowed in Switzerland. We still use some of them, such as the neonicotinoids, which cause a great damage to the bees. But so also a goal of us is to sensitize the people back there in Switzerland. So we started to gather information on Syngenta, and then that's when I first heard of the Hawaiian case. I read it in an article in Switzerland. And so we got in contact with HAFNA, we got a delegation to Switzerland, to our Congress. We went to the, this is our conference. And here we're in front of the, and afterwards we had the first march in Basel. You see, this is the Rhine, so this march is going to be an annual event from now on. So in the spring we're going to do another march. And the work so far has been really successful, and so we read that as people really want the change on the subjects of GMO, pesticides, industrial agriculture, patents on seeds, etc. So right now we are about to release a book on Syngenta, and in which the Hawaiian case has also its own chapter. Part of it is going to be released in English this spring. I brought some flyers. You can get them at the entrance. It would be nice if you read it. That's it. And I think what we've taken so far out of our work is that as multinationals work on an international level and they profit out of that, it is important to strengthen the resistance on a global level. We can learn from each another, and we need to put together our knowledge. The strength is bigger if we resist together, and that's why international meetings like this one are so important. So use the opportunity, talk to each other, get connected on social media, and don't lose the contact, because your struggle is our struggle. And thanks for listening.
so much. When she just brought up the precautionary principle, it reminded me of when we were asking Hawaii to, the Department of Ag, to use the precautionary principle, and that was ignored. It's really our struggle as a democracy and on this island and on all the islands in this state to really make an effort to deal with a government that is not responding. It's not just the corporations, but it's the government that is not responding. I want to introduce now Alika Atai. Alika is a Maui boy. He's a Hawaiian cultural educator in the areas of organic farming and natural Korean farming methods, agricultural pedagogy, and native wisdom for guiding a shift to safe farming and local food systems for Hawaii and the world. Alika is an executive in Hawaii Farmers Union United, and he's also one of the 5 citizens that represented the Hawaii GMO moratorium. And you won.
All right. Can someone help me with the back door? Keep it open. This door is open. Before I begin, I want to also call the rest of my family in, coming from Maui. In natua, taibio to motu, bauio ka ama. In natupuna, tupuna kahiko, mauio ka ama. Eia nā pua, mauio ka ama, na keiki o ke kai. I say aloha nā, most especially aloha nā kupuna, nā keiki, nā opio. What do you say? Opio. Mapua. Or your mamas. Yeah. Aloha. Mahalo for this opportunity for me to visit with you folks here on Moku Keawe. My ohana have roots. Although I was raised in Hana Maui, our roots because of our relationship with Alenui Haha Channel. My ohana is Ka'awawa Nui Amahi. They asked me to come and address Food Justice Summit. I'm an active natural farmer. Most recently, when they called me, they asked me to speak on Maui tomorrow night. And I said, oh, I'm not going to be there on the Big Island. Because I'm going to be with Master Cho.
Yes.
For those of you who are present with us the last 3 days, getting tuned up with the concepts of natural farming. And last night, Master Cho gave us an assignment. What does it mean? And I had to turn in this morning. I felt like I was back in high school. But, natural farming, to me, gives us hope for our future generations. For whatever reason, my ancestors have been here for hundreds of years. Well over 1,000 and almost 2,000 years. And in that process, they always grew organic food. It saddens me that we're right now today on Maui, we are already in the high 80s and probably coming close to 90% of the food we eat does not even come from our own island. I found out this past year, I visited with the folks from the Department of Education lunch program. They serve 50,000 meals every day. 92% of the meals they serve don't even come from here. Okay? You're talking food justice. Yeah? Like Massachusetts told us, 90%? You guys stupid? Or you guys lazy? Huh? So I asked all you guys to go check your family and ask them, what did you eat last night? Where did it come from? On Maui, the kids will say, Costco. But do an inventory of what they are eating. And look at the role of what we must eat. I shared in the car this morning, driving in here, I said, our soil, okay, so those in natural farming know that we do not farm food. We do not farm plants. We farm microbes in the soil. As healthy as our soil is, we'll grow healthy food, we'll then grow healthy people. So, looking at that and knowing that concept and knowing that kuleana of soil, we did kuleana. Our ancestors, over 1,500 years being here, doing a great job as great ancestors. They turned it over to our generation. Look how beautiful this aina is. And for the last 100+ years, we do believe the agrochemical companies believe that they can grow food better. And we allow them to poison our aina. We allow them to drench our plants and drench our soil with poison. Master Cho was here a couple years ago. He visited Maui, he visited the sugar plantation, and he told them, you guys don't deserve this plantation. How can you spray chemical poisons on this plant? Go turn it into sugar, bring it back, and serve that as food to your children. I speak right now to all the mothers and grandmothers here right now. You are the gatekeeper to your family's health. In your family, the family listen to the tutu lady, right? So if you are the female, you are the matron of the family, you get kuleana. You have that responsibility to wake up your family. You control the health and wellness of your family. Master Cho asked this young girl, if you are a young mother, what's your goal? Your goal is to make sure your baby get the best food that you can give them. You're not happily going to give them poison. Yeah? So that should go on forever. Make sure our food is healthy. I get the other guys, the agrochemical guys, that say, oh, our job is to feed the world. Right? That's the slogan, right? Feed the world. I said, oh, you guys forgot one word. Well, it's all about health and wellness in addressing our food. It's all about stopping the sprays of chemicals and pesticides. Last year I participated at the Capitol. I went to testify. Ooh, that's a whole lot now. I went to testify about the chemical create a buffer to protect our children. This guy, who is this guy? Suji. Who lives in this guy's district? I pledge to you, I support you guys. I always told everybody, last year, when I learned, of this initiative on the ballot of anti-GMO, what I learned was there's a difference between organized money and organized people. My experience at the Capitol, when we testify to protect our children, and they come out of committee and they say, we defer. And I sat right there and had a young guy next to me and said, what does this mean, Uncle? What can we do? How can we stop this? I said, well, don't even do. Here's a lesson. If you're not at the table, you will be on their menu. Yeah? My goal then, I said, we just got to get rid of the scrubs. Yeah? Suji is a scrub. I pledge to you, any of you guys in that district, I support you. Who can we find to replace him? Oh, you're the guy. You're the chosen one. Okay, so who is in this guy's district? Who will host the Ava Circle?
Yeah, what's your name?
Have you sat in the Ava Circle?
The other circle?
Alpha.
Alpha circle.
So who is this district? Who you community? I said, make our circle. So he holds the Alpha cup. He pledged in front of you people, right? With that cup. Every politician must join the Alpha circle of their Ahuboa or of their Moku. Pledge, not to just the people. Pledge to the ancestors. Pledge so that we have a future for our future generations. Not wow. Easy wow. Yeah? Pledge. Yeah? You standing up? You raising your hand?
I do pledge. My name is Jonathan Wong, and I am going to be running against Cliff Suji.
So that's what he's saying. If you're not at the table, you will be on their menu. So I will share this, guys. Last week, what was it, Sunday? Last week, Sunday, I was invited to Hana, because Hana Ranch land is being sold. So I went to Hana. We did ALA at sunrise on Hana. ALA, first time I seen a red sun. Just like this shirt. Someone standing with me, sitting with me, well, what does that mean? It was, I don't know. That's the first time I've seen one like that. I've seen orange sunrise. I've seen bright yellow sunrise. But I've never seen a red sunrise. So we kupuna say, what does that mean? So it's one thing to see a Hawaii Lona. Yeah? You guys know what is a Hawaii Lona? Your ancestors of the spirit world come to you, communicate to you via manifestations of nature or occurrences of nature or incidences or activities that is out of the ordinary. Yeah? So when they show themselves, it is one for you to say, that's a Hawaii Lona. But the other side of it is, what does it mean, grasshopper? So you have to go deeper. What does that mean? Right? So what does a red sunrise mean? And I think this is appropriate for this island also, as much as it's appropriate for the people of Hana, as much as it's appropriate for the people of Waipio Valley, as much as it's appropriate and throughout our entire state. The red sun's presence. It's not about change is coming. No, it's saying change is here. Yes. We empower ourselves to be a part of the change you want to see by being, by doing. The food justice change, commitment to feeding the Aina, feeding the people the food of the Aina. I shared the discussion this morning in the car about our soil is designed to grow canoe crops. Akua gave us this soil. Our geologic soil composition, the topography of our land tells us to grow kalo, sweet potato, coconut, banana, sugar cane. Yeah? It wasn't technically designed to grow tomato, cucumber, cabbage, which is food and seeds from the Mediterranean side, but can with a lot of extra work. And I was sharing with the guys, I'd much rather grow kalo, because if the surf big or the water good for fishing, the kalo can wait today. We can go. Catch them tomorrow. But if the tomato or the cucumber ready today, you cannot go surf. You gotta go harvest on that moment. There's a reason why Akua gave us these kind of plants. So hidden in there's a reason why we're here. Yeah? But other than that, we gotta know where we're going. I always tell people, know your target. Have your vision. What I tell you, last year I learned so much about these guys in campaign. They get all this kind of technology. Yeah? Robocall. That they can just, with one recording, they can talk to 5,000 people. Yeah? Vote today. No forget. Yeah? So, you guys in that district, make sure you get that robocall set up. We had that apps. Yeah? We walk down this block. The thing prints out how many people in this house is registered to vote. And then the team goes through the neighborhood, come back, out of 100 voters, they come back and say, Uncle, we get 80 votes, 10 no, 10 they don't know. So we move to the next neighborhood, because we had to count our votes. In Maui County, to win a county council or an election, you know you gotta get 22,000, 23,000 votes. We counted up. We knew we had 23,000 votes. The only thing was hoping that people would show up to vote. Okay? So for those of you who are yet to register to vote, I say, be at the table. Yeah? So that you're not on their menu. Register to vote. For those of you who are pro-sovereignty, don't want to participate in that process, I say, then on the sovereign side, we got to start creating jails and prisons and start arresting these guys who are creating cultural genocide and ethno-genocide onto our people. Two sides, you choose. Yeah? You like the American in the legal process and voting, or you like the Kanaka. Either way, you got to be at the table and engaged. Aloha.
I love your statements. That was wonderful. I want to just pick up one thing, and that is it's organized money is what corporations are, and what we need is organized people. So we do need to be registered and ready to vote. Okay, our next speaker is Sarojini Rengam. to read this wonderful review. She's the Executive Director of Pesticide Action Network, and in Malaysia, she's in the steering committee member of the Asian Rural Women's Coalition, a coalition of grassroots organization of rural women, women peasants, and agricultural workers, including indigenous women, pastoralists, and fisher folk, and regional networks working on women's issues. Rangam is the author of numerous books, published papers and articles and issues on women, agriculture, pesticide issues, and food sovereignty. Please welcome Sarojini Rangam.
Aloha. Aloha. It's been a real pleasure to be here. It's my first time in Hawaii. It's a beautiful place, beautiful people, beautiful food. Because in the last few days I've been really enjoying all the natural food. My topic this today evening is resistance and building reliance. And this is coming from the perspective of the Asian struggles on the ground for land and for health. And so I want to start with a story. And this is kind of sad story because Gilbert Caborada is a Luman. He's from Mindanao. He was from Mindanao. He took up a struggle. He was one of the leaders of the indigenous people's struggle for land and territories in Mindanao in the Philippines. And after many years, A. Brown wanted to control their indigenous land. And in their struggle, he had to, he was threatened, he was harassed, and he had to actually go to a safe house to run away from the kind of violence that they were facing. And in the safe house, they found him and they shot him. And this actually spearheaded a huge campaign, not only in Philippines. This is Gilbert actually, and if you look at the reality of the struggles in the Philippines, you have from 2010, 68 victims of extrajudicial killings since Aquino came to power. And out of the 68, 53 are from Luman, this community and this indigenous group that Gilbert belonged to. And it's all because of the land struggle that they have intensified in the last few years, because for them, land is life. Without land, they have no lives, they don't have livelihoods, they don't have a future. And so for them, it is a fight for life, actually. So what has happened as a result of the struggle? They have not given up. The Luman, if you go, you talk to 12-year-old kids who will be singing their songs of resistance. They will be talking about their issues, how they don't have schools because the military has taken control of the land, or how the plantations have come in. And so the struggles are really intense in Mindanao. And one of the many ways that groups at the local level who have been working with them work at the national and international level to do fact-finding missions, bringing up at all the different levels at the Human Rights Council. We've had two special rapporteurs of the indigenous peoples and the human rights defenders asking the government to take action to address these issues. And there's also a pending Congress investigation because they have friends. There are friends also in the Congress, parliamentarians who want to help highlight these issues. So the fight continues, but they have not given up, and they will continue to fight but they also need help. You know, Gary talked about help. It's also the necessity to have solidarity. Even if you think, oh, you're just signing a petition, it means a lot because the numbers will push the government to take action. So these are struggles on the ground. Then from the Philippines and Mindanao, I would like to go to Balikin, a community in Sarawak.
Was understood until 2008, when two companies, the United Team Company and the Montreal Company, began to enter the area and clear the land.
We see that these people are encroaching into our native customary right land. So we feel to know what these people are doing.
While customary rights are recognized by law, a loophole allows private companies to take over land through a provisional lease. Under the law, the provisional lease, or the PL, could only be given once the indigenous people gave their consent. However, the villagers of Melikin claim that the companies never consulted them and that they never agreed to give up their lands.
We are there to go back. We are not supposed to take this land. But they said we got the PL. Yes, we got the PL, but the original land is ours.
The PL is issued to United Team Trade, a company owned by two high-ranking government officials close to Chief Minister Taib. Taib, the Chief Minister of Sarawak, has ruled Sarawak for 31 years. Recently, an undercover video by Global Witness exposed how land in Sarawak is being sold off to private companies by relatives of Taib.
Do you think he would agree to it? Yeah. All the girls say that. Okay. He's my cousin. So,
The video is the first hard evidence of corruption that this has been happening in Sarawak for years. Government officials and their relatives acquire land and sell them for huge amounts to foreign investors in offshore transactions that include bribes to the chief minister. This systematic state-sponsored land grabbing has now reached Melikin. Before their very eyes, the Anak Remu's lands were destroyed by logging and the subsequent planting of palm oil, a highly profitable export crop. Palm oil plantations are sprouting everywhere in Sarawak. They enrich local and foreign investors, but leave behind a growing number of landless people. They spread poisonous pesticides onto villages and their environment. They destroy food security and biodiversity, which the indigenous people depend upon for life and sustenance. The palm oil company.
So this is one case in Sarawak, Malaysia, where the company has come in and taken control of the land of the indigenous peoples. And one of the struggles has been that in Sarawak they have what they call a native customary rights. They can actually identify the land that belongs to them as indigenous people. And based on that right, they have taken some of the companies to court. There are about 400 legal cases challenging the control of these lands by the corporations, which is being given to them because of the government. Now, one of the things that the groups on the ground, Sadia, for example, which is a local group in Malaysia, has won 16 cases. But it's sometimes they win the case, but the land does not go back to them because it's already planted to oil palm. So there's still, big struggles to change this way of growing, which is plantation, it's monocropping, and there's no biodiversity in this case. So one of the ways in which the communities have organized themselves is to do mapping. Mapping is very important because in order to bring the case to court, they have to make sure that this is the land that belongs to to themselves, to them. And so using GPS and other tools, the indigenous people have been mapping the land. So organizing on the ground, taking action at the ground level. So a lot of it is legal cases, but in some cases what has happened is that they find out that the land is going to be given to the corporation. They also set up barricades, so direct action. So there are many creative ways also that they have been approaching these encroachments to their lands. So one of the reality, if you look at the first case and the second case, the reality is that the host government create investment and they promote this investment portfolios and processes, and it is the companies come in, facilitated by the national government. And these are foreign companies, they be joint companies with elites, as you can see from the earlier example. National governments also acquire the land from the marginalized communities through enabling laws and even militarization. And this is happening in Mindanao in the Philippines. Land resource grabs are usually for production of cash crops, not for food for the people. It's oil palm plantation because there are huge profits to be made with oil palm. And usually communities are not consulted. This sounds very familiar, I guess, to all of you. But that's the reality not only in Hawaii and elsewhere, but also in Asia and the rest of the world. What has been the impact? Displacement. For example, the communities, the indigenous peoples in the Sarawak, they are always consider themselves very rich because they have the land. They said we go out, we pluck, the fruits and we eat. We grow our rice, and we have no problems having rice. We hunt animals, whatever meat that we need, we hunt. And so they felt very rich because they have no problems with food, with shelter, with having resources. But now you see them in the cities. They don't have jobs, they are unemployed, they don't have skills, and so they feel very displaced in this situation. There's also loss of livelihood. They cannot survive. There's no life. Food insecure. Our colleague earlier on spoke about food insecurity. And we're facing that as well because we get a lot of imported food. So where is our local food? It's all disappearing because of the control of land and resources. Not only by the corporations, the big six, but also others who are facilitated often by our governments. And the loss of identity as a people and as a community. I think this is the biggest impact for indigenous communities and peoples who have lost land or resources. They lose their identity. Some of them, like for example, we'll talk about, when they had a way of life which is gone. And, some of them migrate because there's no opportunities in their countries. And they lose their identity. They lose even their families, in the pursuit to survive, to get livelihoods. And what is being promoted, and we talked about this earlier on, and our colleague from Hawaii talked about the culture and how it's being lost. And what is being replaced is unsustainable food production. Huge amounts of pesticides are being used. And in this climate where external inputs are coming in, huge impacts on the health of people. We talked about life being poisoned. Food is being poisoned, life is being poisoned. And just emphasizing the kind of pesticides way that they are spraying, by aerial spraying. Everyone gets contaminated. The water is contaminated. The land is contaminated. People are contaminated. And here the workers are using spraying pesticides, no protective clothing. And one of the biggest, culprits is Syngenta, the company that we love to hate, in Switzerland, based in Switzerland, but they also have facilities in the US. Let's not kid ourselves. They also have facilities in China, So the facilitation, the production is going everywhere. And the products are going everywhere. So even in the UK, they have a facility. And they cost, and the one that we've been fighting for many years is paraquat, the most highly hazardous pesticide. There's no antidote. Workers have, sprayed the pesticide, and it has absorbed, gone through their skin, and they have collapsed. Some have died. Some, the nails have fallen off. So the nails have, turned brown, they drop off, but worse, they lose eyesight because it's so toxic. And this is the kind of pesticide that Syngenta continues to produce and sell, even though, as Gary said, it's not allowed to be used in Switzerland or even in Europe, but it's still used in Asia and Africa and Latin America. So, it's still being used, even with this kind of dangerous, impacts. And early on, the women who spray this paraquat even do it when they are pregnant because they have no other option. So that, also exposing the child to the, the poisons. So some of the things that have been successful with the workers, it's not very easy to organize workers, but once they are women workers, are organized, they are so strong. And so one of the things that has been very helpful has been the documentation of the impact of pesticides on their health. So they do their own self-surveillance and find out the kind of impact it is having on their health. And this has led to campaigns by the plantation workers, with support, of course, by some of the CSOs, grassroots organizations, and movements. And one of the things that they have done is they even joined, they had a press conference in the parliament, and after they had that, even the government had banned such a press conference by workers. But they were so powerful that they pushed in and they said, no, we need to have our issues to be heard in the parliament. And they started also organizing themselves. So this is just a kind of synthesizing, but we'll move on. So I just wanted to talk about the way forward, building resilience. And here you have a young girl, she's actually Cambodian, who says, you've got to know what we love. If you need to know what the communities actually want, that's the message. You need to know what I love so that you can, work with me to move this forward, and that's the message. One of the key elements has been agroecology. And here we talk about organic farming, we talk about SRIs, system of rice intensification. There are many names for it, but it has been successful. We have so many, 5,000 women in Java just doing rice farming that is organic, that's agroecology based. See that 149,000 farmers, farmer families, sorry. In India, we have 20,000 just in one state doing agroecology. In Philippines, we have 35,000 farmers, and what is interesting in the Philippines is that they are doing their own rice breeding. If you talk to the scientists, they'll say farmers can't do breeding, But here in the Philippines, there are 200 farmers who are doing rice breeding. And here a woman is doing, a young woman farmer is doing rice breeding. Then I just want to talk about I'll finish here because my time is running out. But the last slide, I just wanted to share this because I think for us this is the most crucial, the most important. And that's the strength of the movement. We call ourselves Pesticide Action Network, Asia and the Pacific, and we work with Pesticide Action Network North America, but the strength of the network is the movement on the ground, the grassroots struggle, the grassroots organizing, and the strengthening of the movements. And I really wanted to emphasize the strengthening of peasants and women and workers in Asia. One call has been land to the landless, and this is a beautiful picture of Dalit women in India. Dalits are the most excluded, oppressed, dehumanized people in India because they come from a different caste. But here, the women have strengthened themselves, empowered themselves to fight for their land. They say, this is our land, and to see women actually to drive tractors is really unique. And so this is Dalit women in Andhra Pradesh who together started a collective farm to grow agroecologically. And so just wanted to show the proud, they're so proud to be farmers, they're proud to own their land, proud to grow agroecologically. So land to the landless is the call for all of us. Second is the access to seeds and water and other resources. For farmers, for women, rural women, this is so critical. And so that's the big fights that, the big struggles, movements that have been created to continue this. And the discrimination and the exclusion of the poor. And families, because they have the knowledge, they have the skills, and what they need is support. And food sovereignty. I think for us, and I think you will hear more from Marianne about food sovereignty, the right to food, but it goes beyond right to food. It's right to land and resources, it's the right for self-determination of the kind of policies in food and agriculture that we want as a people. And then finally, solidarity networks to support our peasants, our indigenous peoples, women who are being harassed and murdered in the name of profits of the field. So I'd like to end this to say thank you very much, and I hope that you will join us in our struggle because
Thank
the
you.
people
I love it. Let's say it again. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
All right.
What strikes me as I listen to this is that two things. One is an injury to one is an injury to all. We are united in this world. We've got to fight for the rights of everybody in the world to have access to clean land, clean water, human rights, social justice. All of it is interconnected. We are all one. And right now, I want to introduce someone who, it isn't David and Goliath, it's Adelita and Goliath, who did a struggle against corn coming into Mexico. This is Adelita San Vicente Tello. She's the director of Semillas de Vida Fundación, which is Seeds of Life Foundation in Mexico. She's an agronomist by training and is one of the leaders of the Sin Maíz No Hay País. Without corn, there is no country. Coalition whose successful lawsuit has successfully kept transgenic corn out of Mexico.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be in Hawaii. It's really, really, really nice. Never in my life I think I will be here in Hawaii, and it's wonderful. Thank you very much for being inviting me. I don't speak English very well, but I try to do the best I can. Well, I will talk about the stories from the birthplace of corn, and this is my presentation. I'm beginning with this idea that Babylon talks about 8 crop species origin centers. Here, can you see these 8 original centers? We show in this photograph. And if you see Mesoamerica, that includes Mexico and Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, is one of these centers. And in this place, it's original, these things. These important things we take now in the lunch, avocado, tomato, squash, also the beans, the guava, it's not okay, the guava, the jicam, no? Okay, okay, vainilla, amaranto, and in the middle, the corn, the maize. The maize is very important for us, and it recognized that the maize comes from this plant that we call teosindle. That's an indigenous meaning, and it recognized that the ancient people breeding and select this teosindle to come to corn, yes? And that it's a lot of job, maybe of woman and man of the ancient Mexico. And that's why we tell that the corn is an invention of us, and in turn the corn invented us. We also in the Popol Vuh, that is very famous myth of Maya people, they talk about we are women and men of corn. We are made of corn. Our body is made of corn. And then the corn creates a whole culture that you show in this slide. You can see in this one, this is a plant of corn, and this is the god that bring up the corn. No? It's very special for all the corn, the significance of the corn. And then the corn is a history of success with more than 8,000 years of progress and improvements. It's a cereal highly adaptable crop. It can be grown from a different temperature, climate, altitude, soil, and so on. You can find corn in the beach or 3,000 meters. No? And that's why it's the ideal crop from climate change. That by itself is the crop ideal from climate change, without GMOs. Well, in Mexico, the peasants, the men, continued to do what they do with the teosindle. They continue to experiment and improve the corn for the best climate condition and adaptability. That's why we can fight for the climate change. And the women are the seeds conservation in the kitchens, you know. This is very important because it's a cultural patrimony and technical knowledge code that we have to revalue and to achieve increase in corn productivity. These people that you see are people from Veracruz, from Puebla, from the indigenous places in Mexico, and they are preserving this reservoir of genetical material that today make an parallel well and not well about it could mean real alternative to the production model. These people are making each cultivation improving their corn. They use diverse techniques adapted at each region to preserve the moisture, to storage, to preserve the seeds, as you see. And also they have a very important system to produce la milpa. We call la milpa polycultive that put together corn, beans, and squash. In the United States, called the Three Sisters, but we know that the beans take the nitrogen from the atmosphere and to permit to grow up the corn, and the squash grow all over the soil and prevent the pest. That is a very nice system, agricultural system, and we like to say that it's also a cultural model. We said if we in this society can live together in the difference, take help from the difference between the peasants and the scientists and everybody, we have another society, and then we said we will have to make milpa between us. And we told in Mexico that for these characteristics and meanings, the corn is a grain in the spirit. This corn, or this diversity of corn, that's why Monsanto wants to grow up corn in Mexico, in Mesoamerica. Today, corn is the most relevant crop worldwide for volume of production. If you can see the graphic, the wheat, rice, and the corn is increased the production in the last 10 years. And why that success? Because the corn have a great use diversity. As you see in the slide, in Mexico we eat corn in 600 different ways, no? Tortillas, tamales, tostones, many different fresh ways. But also use corn in feed the cows and to make fructosa for the soldiers and on changing the production of sugar cane, and also in oil and paper and all these uses that you see, but also by biofoods. No, in the United States we're beginning to produce a lot of biofoods with a lot of money of the government to move the cars in a way that is absolutely not ecological, it's unsustainable. And as you see, if you see the GMOs, the most GMOs in the world are soy, as you see in the blue graphic. But the most number of events approved are in maize. Maize have a very nice botanical condition to experiment with this. No, have these mechanisms, I don't know, C4 that it's very efficient to take the sun and to change the sun in energy. Well, and that's why we think Monsanto wants to grow in Mexico the GMO. And now we are fighting many years, from 20 years ago, we are fighting in Mexico against the GMO on maize. We are very near from the United States, as you know. We said in Mexico that we are very near from the United States and very far away from that. And from the beginning of the GMOs in Mexico, beginning the awareness about the GMOs on maize. Because maize, it's very, have a very promiscuous. Well, I will explain my graph. Well, how we are against GMOs? First, in a lot of seeds, experience of conservation in situ to reproduce this corn, these native seeds. And there are a lot of experience. Also, there are a lot of free seeds exchange fairs. That is very important because the business in Mexico change the seeds free. And that you see many fairs in Mexico take place in the last 10 years. Also, I have a lot of rituals and gastronomic around corn. The governments in that way, they are taking the seeds to the country and they put a little dress to the corn because it's like a baby and you have to take the seeds with a little sweater, I don't know, with dresses to be in the country. It's very nice. And many rituals that is Catholic and, you know, indigenous. And also we have the corn day on the 29th of September. Also we are an organization, we make networks like we said here, networks, many organizations look to be together in the different organizations, and we make this campaign that we call Sin Maíz No Hay País. And we take also the defense of our rights. We said we have rights and we don't have to ask to the government to not make permissions to Monsanto. We have rights and we have to defend our rights. And in this way we put a class action on July 15, 2053 by 53 citizens, including all these people, experts, celebrities, and 20 big organizations, indigenous organizations, beekeepers, also corn producers, and all we are consumers. We are against this class action. It's against this Monsanto, DuPont, Syngenta, Pioneer, Dow, Agrochemical, and also the Mexican government. And this is the promiscuous of the maize. The issue is that there is evidence of transgenic contamination in native maize. And it is very important because Mexico is the big genetic reservoir of maize. If it is contaminated, because the government give to Monsanto permission in experimental and phase, and this contaminate other places. This is a very important issue that's why we are have this sweep, because they infringe the following human rights: a healthy environment, to preservation, and in the middle to a sustainable use of the biodiversity of native maize. No? With this class action, we ask for a precaution measure to the judge to release any maize cultivation. And the great news is a judge give us this measure in the time is finished, but this is the situation now. We need a lot of social pressure, a lot of social pressure, not just in Mexico, all over the world. We are convinced that this is not just a Mexican fight because of corn. It's so important for all over the world. We have our support of Santana Shiva, of chiefs, of many people in Mexico, and we like to finish, tell you that we are trying to call that this year will be the year of La Milpa, in the all together can fight against GMO in maize. In Mexico, we will be the CDP meeting, and we like to make a big meal plan to defend the corn. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting. It's wonderful to have international speakers. I think it reminds us that, the phrase, think globally, act locally. The act locally is only because that's the only place we can act. But we must include in our actions a global awareness and a global commitment. We have to act politically, and we also have to work on our own culture, guys. We have to be culture workers. The next speaker has been doing some amazing political work in one of the most oppressed continents on this planet, Africa. I have no end of respect for someone called Marianne Oruje.
And the richest continent.
Human and food rights advocate. She's the program manager for environmental rights action, Friends of the Earth, and the foremost Nigerian advocacy non-governmental organization. IRA is the Nigerian chapter of Friends of the Earth International network of 76 national grassroots groups. That's fabulous. Campaigning to protect the environment and create sustainable society. She's also the coordinator of Friends of the Earth Africa's Food Sovereignty Campaign. Please welcome Marianne.
Africa.
Viva Africa!
I feel we are all connected, we are all related. Despite the distance, no matter where we are, our spirit can never be broken because we are united in the same struggles and we demand the same things, justice for Mother Earth and justice for our children to come. Before I start, I want us to watch a very short video and then I'll run through my presentation.
This sugar is contracted to Sony Sugar Company. The company contracts farmers in these areas. They will do everything. You simply have to prove that it is your garden, and then they will come, they will bring their tractors, they plow the land, they bring the seed cane, they will bring the fertilizer, and even give you money for weeding. And when the sugarcane is ready, after 18 months, they will come and cut the sugarcane, they take it. And then they will give you the money. But the problem is that after they have cut, all the money that they spend on this garden, they will cut, they will subtract the money, and then with interest. So in the long run, as a farmer, I get very little from this farm after they have taken it. If you don't contract the sugarcane to them, then it means that it is very difficult for you to take your sugarcane to the factory. They will always go for those who have contracted the cane, and that means that they frustrate you to the extent that if you have to take sugarcane, then sometimes you have to bribe the officers who work at the factory for them to allow your sugarcane to be taken to the factory. Because of that frustration, farmers are forced to contract the sugarcane to the factories. These people just use your land. And because of poverty, sometimes we have no alternative. We have to give them our land, they plant sugarcane, and then they give us what they feel like. So it's more of like land grabbing. Even when you look at the kind of habitation that is around, the houses and all that, you can see that since 1971, life has not changed in this home. And that is what is happening. That is, to me, some sort of land grabbing by the big factories that are around, the multinationals and all that. It's my...
I just wanted to start with that video and to see, there's a video from Kenya. Kenya is in Nigeria. I will explain it more as I go on with the presentation. Yes, I mean, the story of Africa, they come in and say we have wastelands, marginal lands, that there's nothing like wastelands. I mean, they came with the argument that we have enough land, so they need to grow agroforests in our country. We have nothing. We have lands just waiting for them to grow. So, but in Africa, lands are not just wastelands. When lands are used for different reasons, for grazing cows, for doing a lot of things, you will hardly see lands like this that they call wastelands. Before this time, they came to us and said, oh, you have a large population, so you need to grow GMOs. So the stories changes to fit their own corporate agenda anytime they want to do anything. Yes, this picture shows the interest they have in Africa. I mean, you love the land, you don't want the people. So everything is uprooted out and nothing is left for the people. So they are interested in Africa without Africans, the land and the resources. So you can see them lifting literally that out, but you see what is really happening in some other lands. In recent times, we are witnessing threats from external investments in agriculture, including multinationals. I mean, a lot of companies are coming in, Monsanto, and there's this new initiative called the Alliance of G8. And literally, I'm using this, they're just breaking the continent and milking out everything. Then they are being supported by the World Bank, and they are backed by philanthropic organizations like the Bill Gates and the Foundation. And they come with, when somebody comes with, I'm trying to help you, people are hungry, and literally they're just breaking and milking and getting what they want. So there's really nothing people can do, quote and unquote. Like I said, the push is from the G8 and the Green Revolution. They said we missed the first trade, so we shouldn't miss the second trade. So they come with all kinds of initiatives, but when you look at them, there's just nothing for the people. They're just they're just like businessmen trying to make profits for themselves. In the last 3 years, the Nigerian government went into an agreement with the G8 under what we call a public-private partnership. Under this, large tracts of land will be given to companies. If you come in and you are going to do an investment in the country, large lands will be given to you. The lands will be taken from communities anywhere, given to companies at very ridiculous prices. So there was this case in Nigeria, a company called Dominion Farms. Dominion Farms was given 30 hectares of land in a state called Taraba State. Taraba State is a state in northern Nigeria, and because of where they are located, they have drought-like conditions and they don't really have much rain. So what they really get their water from is from ponds, and maybe if there's rain. So that is where the government gave this company the land, where the people get little water they can get from. So they gave them 30 hectares of land, and then they drove away the farmers from the land. They drove away the people, the farmers there, the pastoralists, those who are grazing, and then they filled the ponds of water with soil to grow their rice. When the people protested, our government gave them military people to protect them, and the people were doing it. These people, most of them, is farming. That's all they do. They farm to train their children to eat and to sustain themselves. No. In 2012, the US company farms called Dominion Farms signed an MOU with the Taraba government for a 30 hectares concession. And the projects would affect 45,000 people living in that area. The people had no knowledge about it. Very few elites were consulted in this project. Like I said, this is a company that is registered in the US and is based in Oklahoma with headquarters in Africa, in Kenya. And they're doing the same thing they're doing in Nigeria, in Kenya. Well, these people, like you see, they're drivers of conflicts, crisis, because when you take land from the people, you drive them out from their ancestral home, and they are forced to be like strangers. In Nigeria, we have if you leave your community and go to another community, you're never accepted. You're like a wanderer. So you drive people from their ancestral home, you take over their land, you take their food away from them, you take everything. Land means a lot of things to us, not just for food. People, they have connections, spiritual connections to it, so they are taking up, their soul is being taken from them. I need to rush that. Then, what has happened is that this land has been taken, people are affected, it impacts the food, there are forced evictions, it's disrupting the livelihoods of people, and like I said, the irrigation system has been captured because that is where they have the water and they take it. When these people come to Africa or come to the communities, they take the best land. They don't go to just take wastelands as they normally say. They go and take the choices of the land and drive away the people. So people are forced to go without their lands and sometimes without food. So what are they engineering? Multiple crises, you have land grab, you're actually bringing the all that they're saying they're trying to avoid. So when we found out that this company came to Nigeria and this is what they are doing, and it's already happening in Kenya, we decided to see things for ourselves. We went to the communities to find out
what the people actually think. Because sometimes when we start screaming, the government says, what is your own? You're not even the community. The people are happy with this project. So we went there, spoke to the people, and we found out that there was no consultation with the community people. And what these people did, they'll talk to a few allied people like the chiefs, the chiefs, give them some money, maybe a few chiefs, and then the chiefs will say, oh, you're coming with a wonderful project, take over the land, do whatever you want. And then they give them failed promises. You're going to send your children to school, we are going to employ them in the companies, we are going to build schools, we are going to give you roads. And these are things the government of any country should do for their people. So I wonder why they want companies to do this for them. Why won't your government give you roads? Why won't your government build schools for children to go to school? But at the end of the day, what they do, they employ people just as men hands. They are not employed as manager or anything. But their conditions are even worse than when these companies came into their communities. And the worst case scenario is that they are forcibly evicted and taken away. So we found out all those things happened to them, and the irrigation systems were completely gone. So we asked them, what do you want to do? Because for us, we always support whatever the community wants, that is what we want to do. He said, do you want to resist this? It's a decision you have to take, but we have to tell you the implication. You can sit down, you can organize, or you can sit down, have a pity party, cry, or reorganize. So we decided, yes, the corporations are big people, but then we can tackle them, and we decided to organize. We went into partnership with a number of people, with Grain, an international company, a lot of our partners in Europe, and we wrote a lot of letters, we did a lot of things, and Dominion Farm was forced to leave the community against their will. And the resistance of the people, it was a peaceful writing, protesting, putting on the media, doing interviews that this company is taking away land from people, the children are starving and everything. We used all that we can to do that. And finally, Dominion Farms now said that he wrote a letter on their website on 5th February 2015 to say, we are not doing business in Nigeria. Environmental Rights Action, Friends of the Earth Nigeria, and SEED all boast of your decision to support communities affected by Dominion. It is now your obligation to do so. The people of Nigeria need massive support and huge investments. The precious people lack desperately for every need of life. What will you do for them when their children are hungry and there is nobody to turn to? Please take up the challenge and invest the billions of naira necessary to change their lives. The union will no longer be in your way. For us, that was a victory. I mean, they always say they are hungry, people are hungry and they're going to do that. We said, fine, we don't need you to collect. So we are happy that Dominion has, for now, packed its back and left Nigeria. And we are trying to tell the people, go back to your land. Against this backdrop is the Kenya. Dominion Farm started in Kenya, and they are still there. Huge lands have been grabbed for a project called Rice. And just like what is happening in Nigeria, there have been massive abuses. People have been forced off their land. Communities have been asked to leave, and just like the case in Nigeria, the police people have taken over that place, and unlike our case, the project is still on. He signed an MOU with the community called CIO, and they got it from the government at a lease of 150 shillings. That's less than a cent per hectare yearly. I mean, when they come to communities like that, I mean, they just want to pay something. They could have easily given them the land for free. This is how much we pay for that land. They said the process involved public people, but when we spoke to the people, the community people said they were not aware of this. They were promised all kinds of things, and just like the promises they did in Nigeria, this is the same thing to these people. And some of them said, we feel our land is being misused without us getting anything in return. And that, of course, there's the issue of divide and rule, and the issue of driving people away from their lands. Let's go. On that case is the sugar company case that I said about. You heard the man say what has been happening. These people are literally treated like slaves in their own land. They are forced into contract farming, and the working conditions not even suitable for human beings. I mean, this is a violation to their rights as human beings. I mean, people should not be made to, the land is taken away and they're not really paid for what is what. Go to the next page. He said, how did these people acquire the land? They come in through all kinds of things, I mean, with promises and like you heard the man say, they ask you, they give you money for the fertilizer, they give you money to farm, whatever you need. At the end of the day, all this is subtracted from the farmer, and they're really left with nothing. And if you don't farm with them, you cannot go and process your sugarcane with them. So it's more like, as if their hands are tied. When they do so much, and sugarcane takes like 18 months to grow. So they are left with nothing. I mean, they have huge tracts of land, the farm for, it's literally working for these people and getting nothing in return. I want to quickly go to the next case. This is a case in Tanzania, like what is happening in Nigeria and Kenya. This case is even worse. And there's this company called Olam in Singapore. They came in and the government, just like under this GATE's new public-private partnership, gave out huge tracts of land to these companies. And the people are not very happy with what is happening. I actually recorded some videos and I want you to hear what the people said in this. Yeah. You know, what happens is that they come in there and they give them rice, I don't know, maybe rice, plate of rice, and then they ask them to give them the land. They ask them to sign a blank paper and say, just sign this paper and we will discuss this later. These are illiterate people and they sign blank papers, things like that.
hawakuambii kiasi cha hilo unachokifanya. Wanakwambia kutia dole kubwa kwenye karatasi ambayo haijaandikwa chochote. Nikauliza mbona hawajaandika kitu? Sasa wewe utia kwanza dole hapo. Baadaye kutia mezani hapo. Napita pale nikapata shilingi 68. Kamgone kama akiridhisha sasa kama utaki acha. Kwa hiyo baadaye nikaja kuambiwa niko kwa nje. Jamani yuko usikubali pokea hiyo hela. Kwa sababu watoe elimu yote na wakwambia kama shindano. Si bado tunaogopa askari yuko hapa. Atachukua risasi. Asema sisi tunachukua tu ndio kwa kabisa.
I mean, this is the case of what is happening. People are being bullied into giving out lands. Can you just pause it? Okay. Run the next way.
Kutokana na uchumi wa uwekezaji kutokana na uchumi wa uwekezaji kwa hata hizo toa sisi wanakijiji tulikuwa tumebabaika kwa siku hii ya kwanza kidogo tulichangaika tukiwa wengi na chakula hapo kweli tulipata chakula bado ndio hasa hamasa ile tupatia sisi mpaka nyumba ndio kwa sababu wengi tulikuwa tunajua hata uchumi ardhi kubwa basi kama nyumba au uchumi mkubwa haki yake
Kubwa sisi kujua Kiswahili. Wao wasome Kiingereza kuliko Kiswahili. Kiswahili kina maana nyingi kuliko Kiingereza. Siku ya kwanza nilikuwa kwa kina mama alifanya hivi. Tunafanya mkutano pale mpaka saa 12. Akatupa shilingi 1000 kwa sababu tumeuza ardhi yote kwa shilingi 1000. Baada ya mkutano ule, tukaanza na viongozi wa wilaya, mkoa na taifa yote kusema tumeuza sisi tuke kwa shilingi 2000. Kupitia zao sio wanasema mimi ndio nataka. Yule amechukua hekta 50 sio eka. Kwa shilingi 2000. Alituhaidi hapa kama ni natekeleza utukia hii itakuwa bora kuliko kijiji kitu kingine au mkoa mwingine.
So, I mean, these are the voices of the people. I have less than 5 minutes, so I just have to run it. And then what we have, this is the president of Tanzania, the then president, they have a new one, of Tanzania. He said, we can't win the war against poverty with weapons that we don't have. The most valuable weapon every Tanzanian has is the land. So land is used as a form of investment and is given out to people at ridiculous price. 200 Tanzania shillings is less than, it's 1 cent. It's less than, it's about $2. It's about $2. It's not even up to $10. That is what the people. So there are gross human rights violations that are going on, defective contracts, people are being deceived into signing contracts that they don't know about, and then when they realize that there's really nothing they can do, they just have to go on. The question we ask ourselves is this, if that is development, then I think we don't want it. Each people must really determine the development part. And if you really want to help people, they should have a choice to say, this is what I want. These people come in, they define the terms of engagement, choose what they want to do, force people out of their lands, and then they say they are bringing development to the people. It's been happening in different places, and the same tactics, and some in worst cases, same companies. So we need like a paradigm shift. What I mean, we say it's green. I don't think it's green. That is green. We call it a green economy. And the question we really need to ask ourselves is, who owns our land? Who has the primary right to sell land? How secure community rights over land? And there are other issues we need to look at. Food as a commodity for financial speculation, overthrow of local and national food system, privatization of soil, water, and seeds, etc. by these corporations. These are key things as people we need to really look and decide how do we tackle this. And for us, we're looking at the issue of food security in the context of food security. And that people at any point in time should have a right to determine the kind of food they want, how they want to eat it, and how they like it, that this should not be detected and should not be left in the hands of corporate-driven people to do this for them. And then we get to the issues of GMOs. I mean, when they come in, they take lands. What are they going to do? Because they need profits. Most of them want to grow GMOs in them. And they'll tell you, your population is so big, we need to do this. In Nigeria, they're writing laws. You said it's sponsoring public hearings. They're doing all kinds of things, and they're sponsoring field trials. And then when they come to do field trials, they take the best crops and then end up producing the worst crops for us. And when they want to carry out these their tests, they look for the staples of people. In Nigeria, it's cassava. Cassava is a staple for almost like millions of people. There are about 170 people in Nigeria. Over 100 million people depend on cassava. If you cannot eat anything, at least you can eat cassava. You can eat it in different forms. In Mexico, they are after the maize. In Malaysia, it's rice. In Uganda, it's banana. They just come, and in Kenya, it's maize also. Why are they always interested in people's tables? Are they going to give us these crops for free? No. These are businessmen looking for huge profits. They're not really interested in our well-being. They are interested in making money for themselves and their companies. For us, we feel GMOs is not a right development for our people. We can feed ourselves, we can take care of our needs. We don't need GMOs, we don't need this toxic, we call it poison to feed our people. So we set it time with that number that our government, because of promises of, I don't know, they are handing close to these companies, and they are the ones trying to bring this into most African countries. But we can say that despite more than how many years of GMOs, it's only limited in 4 countries in Africa: South Africa, Sudan, Egypt, and South Sudan. So as a country, as a campaigner, it's not been easy trying to hold back the corporations. We are dealing with people who have power, who have money, who have connections, who are working with conniving governments. So for us, we feel that we need joint solidarity. Most of these companies are in the US, and they carry out most of their activities in Africa, in Asia, and in Latin America. So if we come and join forces, we can reclaim back our sovereignty. They are no more, we are the people, they have the money. And there's something called people's power. We feel we can overthrow this undemocratic process that is happening in Africa and all over the world. I think to conclude, it's time not just to talk, but also to do. More dollars will not rebuild our continent. It's time to act. We need to mobilize. We need to resist. We need to transform. We need to do all that we want to do to make sure that this happens. And I saw this somewhere and I really liked it and I wanted to share with us. It said, when all the trees are cut down, when all the animals are dead, when all the waters are poisoned, when all the air is unsafe to breathe, only then you will discover Monsanto, Syngenta, you cannot eat money. Then I also saw this, that finally, I live with this, that it's we the people, not the corporations. They don't have a say. We are the ones who decide what we want to do. We the people, not the corporations. Not the corporations, not politicians, are our best hope for restoring sanity to our food system and farming system. We decide what we want to do. We decide how we want to do it. They cannot dictate to us. We have to dictate to them. And if truly they want to help us, they should come and ask us truly, what do we want? Thank you so much for listening.
We are running a little bit late, but we want to have questions from the audience. If you have questions, you can write them down. We have some paper here. But while we're waiting for people to write them down, I was going to ask Fred Pollock to make a statement about his own research into Monsanto. But he would stand up and make a statement.
Yeah, my name is Fred Pollock. I spent about 20 years overseas working for U.S. Agency for International Development. And I spent about 10 years in Indonesia. And when I was in Indonesia, we began tracking the GMO issues because in the year 2000, Monsanto decided that they were going to begin to operate in Asia, and they chose Indonesia to be the first country they were going to operate in. Well, they picked a province that some of us were very familiar with in South Sulawesi. It's the island south of the Philippines. It's like a big circular starfish. Anyway, they were pushing GMO cotton, BT cotton, through the Ministry of Agriculture. But they were having a lot of trouble because the farmers, they didn't want the BT cotton because they were told that they wouldn't be able to save seeds any longer, that they would have to use the seeds from Monsanto. The farmers were basically forced to grow the cotton because the system of agricultural extension is basically like a command and control system from the center. So anyway, even though Monsanto was having trouble, they were having success in forcing the farmers to buy the cotton, and it was discovered that the way they were doing that is that they were bribing Indonesian government officials. And finally, I think in 2003, I believe they were indicted by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and in 2005 they were found guilty, and they were fined $1.5 million for bribing, I think it was 140 Indonesian government officials and their families, and building a house for the wife of the Ministry of Agriculture. Basically, I kind of think that 1.5 million is just chicken feed for a fine against Monsanto. It does absolutely no good. And as a result, I think we need to get together with some of these ladies here that really understand how the corruption of these multinational companies really operates. I think they understand it much better than Americans do, because nobody knows that Monsanto and these companies are overseas, bribing their way into these countries. And the other thing is, they're doing it here too, using the lobbyists. They're buying their way into dominating the FDA and USDA. And, we need to wake up too. It's just not these folks.
Okay, thank you so much.
Small experience into the mix. I was down in Ecuador, and I decided to walk into the Peace Corps office, and I ended up spending about an hour talking with a local guy who was the head of the agriculture, and he told me that all the Peace Corps people are being used to implement Monsanto GMO. That's what he told me, and he wanted to know what I thought about that. So I put that out there to you, that if that's how the Peace Corps is being used now, we better get busy.
I really agree. I'm disturbed to see people leaving. Before you leave, I want to just say some thank yous that are really important, and then we're going to continue, after I do these mahalos, we're going to continue with the question and answer. But I just want to make a point that the Aurora Foundation was the sponsor, the UNIF, Natural Foods International, and Cliff Bar. And also many people from across Hawaii who donated their resources and time to make the summit possible. Jim Albertini of Malu Aina, stand up, Jim. There's Justin Avery of the Kumukoa House, stand up. Is Jen Ruggles here? Jen Ruggles.
I just want to give a special shout out to Jennifer Ruggles. Jennifer Ruggles was involved in the Kauai Coastal 491 issue, and she did great work in our community.
I want you to stand up. You are the president of Global Hope. And Megan Blazak from the Center for Food Safety. We also would like to thank Russell Ruderman. Could you please stand up, Russell? Keeping his seat on the Senate, so do what you can to help. This mahalo to the Sweet Cane Cafe and Abundant Life Natural Food. Mahalo to the Hawaii and Hapa board members, Malu, Shizui, Miki, and Kekaulike Tomich.
This woman's worked very, very hard. She serves well on the board of the HAPA Board of Directors and represents your community very well. So mahalo.
I just wanted to make, and there are many of you who are very strongly committed and activist in your own right. You are the ones who are the heroes facing the challenges that we're facing. I want to open to questions. Here's one. How are the GMO corporations connected with the push to pass the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP? And do any of you want to pick that up? Yes, come on.
Well, there are a few concerns. One is the intellectual property rights. They go beyond what is possible in what you call what's allowed now in, for example, Malaysia is one of the possible signatories. We hope that the US doesn't sign on, so that Malaysia will stop the signature, but there's a lot of organizing that's taking place to stop our Prime Minister, who's Gangho, on the TPPA to stop the signing, the ratification actually, being signed. So one is the intellectual property rights issue, and we think that the Monsanto, Bayer and Syngenta will have, the push would be on allowing their seeds to come in without any protection. We don't allow G seeds now to be grown commercially in Malaysia, and we think that this will change with the TPPA. Second is there's field trials that's going on, but people are not very excited about, like for example, there is some field trials by the Malaysian Agricultural Research Department in terms of papaya, and they want to do some work on oil palms, but there's so much of consumer kind of being against GMOs, and so they're very worried about their exports. So, so for that reason, TPPA will allow the GCs coming in and commercialization of G. That's one. The other concern that we have is the ISDS, which is the Investment State Dispute Settlement. And for us, that's really crazy because if a corporation then challenges the Malaysian government on any issue and the health sector is affected, the agriculture sector, has the potential to be affected, Malaysian government will just give up because we don't have the resources to fight this corporation under the ISDS. Because this is tribunal, you need money to hire lawyers and look at the contracts, and it is really difficult to challenge as a small country this big corporation. So the ISDS is another big fight that is taking place at the home front with many movements on the ground: health, agriculture, and the services.
I just want to add that the Trans-Pacific Partnership makes it possible or inhibits all government, which is we the people, from being able to make laws, because any of the laws that we make can be challenged if they undermine profits. It's just appalling. Talk about corporate rule of the world. This is a corporatocracy. Questions? Yes.
I just wanted to say so I know about Syngenta, and Gary Hooser was just at the board meeting in Switzerland not too long ago. They're not very friendly to the environment. They're not very friendly to local communities. They were here today at UATLO recruiting agricultural students. They're here voraciously. They might be in this room, I don't know. But they were here voraciously recruiting agricultural students, and that's what we're up against. And they're giving them super sweet deals. And they're saying, hey, we're going to pay for all your housing, you're going to pay for everything you need, you're going to do this internship, you're going to be able to pocket all your money. It's a great deal. All you have to do is sign a deal with the devil. So that's where we're up against.
Any other questions?
I just have a question as to alert you that the next two events that are going to take place here, Thursday next week at 6:30, and the following 2 weeks later, February 4th, both events are related to what we've been talking about here today. Land grabs, and the military force behind those land grabs. Next week will be the demilitarizing of Hawaii and the Pacific, 6:30 here. And on February 4th will be the film The People and the Olive, about American ultramarathoners crossing Palestine. And as they crossed, they were followed on each evening a van met them. And guess what that van was full of? Olive tree seedlings to replace the trees destroyed by the Israeli settlers. See, have you ever seen a tree cut off like that? It's very ugly. And of course, that's their livelihood, that's their food. So we have these two events coming up, and I wanted to let you know if they really follow from what we heard and understood tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to close up now because some of our speakers need to make it to the closing.
We have very early flights in the morning, and we started our mornings morning at 4 o'clock. So these ladies have really been jabbing away.
We got to fight for this stuff, guys. I'm very encouraged by young people I see. I think there's revolution in the air, and we need a revolution. We need to change the way we live. We've got to really engage ourselves politically because the laws created the corporations. We can change those laws and change those corporations. Mahalo for coming.